Hey guys, welcome to Embracing Expansion. My name is Finesse and it's a beautiful day today. It really is. I wanted to spend some time just reminding us, because it's something that I find me having to remind myself of so much. We cannot save anyone. We can't. It's not your responsibility to change people or convince people of anything. Everyone is on their own journey, their unique journey, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And it might sound at first, when I had to face that, it's kind of a harsh reality. And when I had to face it, guys, it's really hot. I always tell you guys that it's hot here. When I had to come to terms with that, and I can say that I'm still learning it, and it's something that you have to remind yourself, especially if you're naturally empathetic. I am a very extremely empathetic individual. I will literally turn on the television, find an ad playing, probably an ad, guys, an ad, and if it's sad, I cry. I am a very, very, very sensitive person to energy, so much so that sometimes I have to kind of stay away from people for a bit just to realign myself. And what I find helps with that, by the way, since we're on that, is a baking soda bath. Baking soda bath, you put it as hot as you can tolerate it, and you sit in there until it gets to a temperature that is exactly that of your natural body, right? So that's a little tip thrown in there, baking soda bath. It's also good for an energy cleanse, and if you're not feeling well, if you have joint pains as well, it works for that as well. I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what's worked for me, okay? So yes, back to what we're talking about. We cannot save everyone, and that is a very harsh reality that we all have to face. Because if we think of, like, aside from, let's say you're not very, like, you've not read a lot to understand exactly what it is, the art of allowance. If you take a normal person like me, before I became enlightened or started my journey of enlightenment, I used to feel a responsibility to help and to save and to guide and all of that. Even when I had no clue what I was doing, I just knew that I wanted to help. Now, a life of service does not mean that you go around trying to change people. It means that you allow people to be themselves. It is a difficult thing. I will very, very much and so easily admit it is a difficult thing, especially when the people that you are around, you see how they could be better. And you see how they could be better. The most you could do is just be how you want them to be. But you cannot save everybody. It is everyone's responsibility to save themselves. They're not just their responsibility. It's actually something that only they can do. You cannot do it for them. We can project positive energy, and that is very powerful. That is really the most we should do, I should say. Project positive energy towards everyone. Love, send them love. If they're not physically well, send them healing energy. It's best sometimes, even in our ailments, in our moments of not feeling so good or going through, challenges with health, it is best if we embrace so often we just look for a cure, but we don't look for the source. And when you can find yourself, understanding that, hey, this is what caused this. And it might not necessarily be a physical thing. It might be your train of thoughts, trauma that you've experienced, mental. Remember, we spoke about how your mind affects your health. It could be those things. And so we have to kind of embrace things before we move on from them. Embrace them, meaning accept our parts in them, and be grateful for the enlightenment and the lessons that they're teaching us, and then move on lovingly. Do not be judgmental of yourself, So that's the most, and so we on the outside of those situations, meaning if you're not the one who's not well, all you can do or should feel good enough and grateful enough and feel like you're doing a lot, because it really is a lot, is to just send positive energy. When you think of that person, don't think of them as ill. Think of them as they're healing. We can't save everyone. And not just from a perspective of being ill, but you cannot change a person's character to suit your preference or your perspective of how they should be. We have to allow people to be who they are, be in the spaces that they are, feel how they need to feel, and it's important that we don't take it personally. I think that when we take stuff personally is when we feel like we have to save someone. When you can understand that that's part of the 4 agreements, not taking anything personally, that's going to help you to be more allowing of other people and not feel a responsibility to save anyone, whether they're your parents, your friends, your siblings. You're not responsible for saving anyone. All we are required to do is be the examples, be what the change, the beautiful positive change, be light, be of service to others. Now, not saying that you're not supposed to save anyone does not mean that if someone comes to you and asks for help, you're going to say, no, I can't, it's not my responsibility to save you. No, it just means that you shouldn't burden yourself with the choices and decisions of other people. Everyone is expected to do what feels, looks, and sounds right to them in each moment. And it's not necessarily going to sound right or feel right to you. That is how you love. That is really what love is. Love is allowing a person to do what feels right to them. And just because it's not what you anticipated, should it not work out the way they anticipated, doesn't mean you can't be there to assist. You just have to keep reminding yourself that, hey, if I give advice to someone, if someone asks me for advice and I give it to them, they're not obligated to take that advice. I should just feel my part in the journey was just being there to give them the advice. It's not my responsibility to see that they take it or they follow through with the advice. Some people really just ask advice. I could tell you that I'm one of those people who would ask advice just because I want a different perspective, or because, sometimes you want a different opinion to see if, you're seeing things clearly, and that's fine. But when you find yourself giving advice and feeling like the person had to take care of getting offended if they don't do as you suggested, sometimes we even say stuff. I have been guilty of saying that as well. But you asked me and I told you and you did that, and you still did your own thing. But of course they still did their own thing. Guys, I'm so sweaty. It's really, really hot. I just did not want to not do my videos this week, and the fan is so loud. So if you give someone advice and they don't take it and it doesn't work out, you don't need to feel offended that they didn't take your advice. Your part, just focus on your part. Someone comes to you for assistance, advice, whatever it may be, you do what you are able to in gratitude and in love, and with an attitude of allowance and acceptance towards that person, and the rest is really up to them. And if we could try our best to remember, like, tell yourself, I am allowing of others, and I'm just as I'm allowing of myself. I project and inspire and attract love. Once you try to emulate those characteristics more consistently, remind yourself, and reminding yourself is good. Especially, you have to see how good it is. If you can remind yourself whilst you're doing, that's what expansion is. When you catch yourself doing something that's not, that's better than not what you know or what you're trying to do to be who you're trying to be, that is beautiful. Don't be hard on yourself. Be proud of yourself for finding it, for catching yourself. Hey, that's not how I want to be. That's not what feels right to me. And this is important. This is great. This is wonderful. Celebrate that. Don't feel bad when you fall short, okay? In your journey of allowing people to do what's best for them. You're going to be very disappointed if you go through life trying to save another person. Your perspective is your own, and while some of our perspectives might be similar, the underlying major contributing factor is how a person feels, and you cannot feel for a person how they should feel. So if you might tell someone, you should do this, I think you'd be great at that, and the person may not, they may be good at it, and just because they're good at it doesn't mean that it makes them feel good or feel successful or feel fulfilled. And that's that. You give advice and you understand and give it when it's like having a tangible thing and you give it away. I had to learn that part too. You give something away, it's no longer your responsibility. You've done your part. Your role has been played, and you should be proud and just wish them well. I'm giving you this. It's out of sight and out of mind. So not in a bad way, but you're saying this, if it's a tangible thing, I'm just using an example so you could see what I mean when I say if you give something away, it's no longer in your possession, so you can't be too concerned. It's like whether it's a physical thing or your words or your advice or your presence, you showed up for someone and you played your part. ultimately do what feels good to you. Do what feels, make sure that you're feeling good in what you're doing. You are feeling good in what you're doing. And that's how you would be more true to you, and also allow another person to be true to themselves. I have spent so much of my life observing people around me and just thinking, hey, you could do so much better. You could be so much better. Why aren't you doing better? Or let me see if I could talk to you about doing better. What I find my peace in? Speaking my truth. Once I have spoken my truth to that person, like what I just said, if I say, I feel like you can do better and be better, I say it, and it's kind of like I'm releasing those emotions by being true to myself and telling that person, hey, I think you could do better. Knowing that I have said that to that person is enough for me. It's enough for me. I share genuinely with love, always with love, how I feel, my perspective, and I tell myself even before I proceed to do that person is not supposed to do as I say, because they're the one feeling the emotions on the actual journey that they're walking. Okay? So this is what I want us to try to do more, and I'm speaking to myself also. I want you guys to know that when I make these videos, I am speaking to myself also. I am reminding myself and trying to just make my healthier habits with my interactions with others and also with myself just more consistent. You try practice, and that's what we do. Remind ourselves, practice. Catch yourself whilst you're doing things, the things that you know better from and better than, and then apply it and cheer yourself on. And the more you try to, the more you make yourself exposed to better thinking and acting and feeling habits, the easier it is for you to catch yourself in those emotions, in those spaces, and redirect your energy. I remember when I first started noticing, hey, I don't like how that makes me feel. I would be like, well, I messed up again. And I'm like, no, but how could you have messed up when you just actually stopped yourself, caught yourself in the moment, and decided then that you're changing the outcome or the direction of the situation, So give yourself a pat on the back when you can do that, and don't see it as a bad thing. Just remember that the only person you are responsible for is you. The only person you are responsible for is you, not your children, not your friends, not your family. You are only responsible for you. If you can we think of our parents when they were raising us, and so many households that I know of, there are children who grew up in households where they were so, strict. Their parents were so strict. And it's very often that these children are the ones who grow up and become crazy. Maybe I'm one of those children now that I'm thinking about it. I'm not crazy, but everything they were raised to do, they're doing the total opposite. I am one of those persons, but not in a bad way, I'd say. I'm actually doing what I was taught to do, because my mother always told me to be true to yourself. No one is in control of you. Only you can do what you want, do what feels right to you. But on the other hand, she was telling me what to do, and I had to listen to her. So it was very confusing to me. And I remember thinking, I can't wait to grow up to just get out, And not in a bad way. Like, when you give advice, it is applicable to you. And some people fail to realize that. When you give advice, it is also applicable to you. So you might be telling someone, don't let anybody tell you what to do. And then 5 minutes later, you advise a person, I think you should do that. And the person doesn't listen to you and you get offended. But you just told them, don't let anyone tell them what to do. Do what feels right, So it's something that is, it's just, I don't know. It sometimes can be puzzling, but only if you're thinking from a perspective of me, like from a perspective of like people are supposed to do what you say. You have to be more allowing. Think from a perspective of me, in that I only have control of me, right? Not from a perspective of me in that I am right and I know what's best. No, think I know what's best only for me. Everyone knows what's best for them. Even before someone comes to ask for advice, or when they ask for advice, everyone has access to their subconscious mind. And their subconscious mind is their guidance system. We all share that. So everyone is getting the same advice. It's all about your attunement. How attuned are you to that? And the more you practice going within, your meditations, your affirmations, even your reading books, self-help books, spiritual books, books of enlightenment, the more you start doing that, the more you become attuned, and you find yourself less and less having to seek advice from anyone, because you just feel attuned, and you can actually hear your intuition out loud. Okay, so just remember that we are all walking our own individual, unique journeys. Yes, we are here to co-create, but the journey is still unique to you. So allow people to experience their failures, to learn their lessons. It's not your responsibility to save them. You can be there if they need guidance and help, but if you offer it, and when you give it, do not feel that they have to be true to you, because it's not about you. Only in your world is it about you. In someone else's world, it is supposed to be about them, about their happiness, it's their path. So it's supposed to be about them. They're not supposed to be living their lives to please you, nor are you supposed to be living your lives to please them, nor are you supposed to be trying to save them. Stop trying to save people. If we're saving people, we're preventing them from getting their lessons. If we're saving people, we're preventing people from embracing and accepting and discovering their expansion. We have to allow people to make mistakes. We have to allow ourselves to make mistakes sometimes. I could tell you, I try to talk myself out of stuff a lot, and then I do it. When you have that gut feeling that you shouldn't do something, and then you do it, and then it goes wrong, you're like, well, what is this trying to teach me? It could obviously be teaching you next time to trust your intuition, but there's also an additional lesson, like the experience. What did you learn from the experience? It was probably necessary for your enlightenment. Okay? Thank you so much for watching, tuning, joining us. Me, I keep saying us, well, us, because This is Embracing Expansion. Do enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Tune in tomorrow morning, by the way, for our sacral chakra meditation. I'm still getting a hang of it, because I was hoping to do it outdoors, but outdoors is noisy. If you're in the Caribbean, outdoors is noisy. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you subscribe. I hope you like. I hope you share. I hope you comment. Your feedback is... I'm dying to get feedback from you guys. Thank you. Have a good day.